What's going on, everybody? Ryan Pineda here. In today's video, we are going to talk about every step you need to take to wholesale your very first real estate deal. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. My name's Ryan Pineda. I actually started out in the business as a realtor in 2010, and I started flipping houses in 2015. It wasn't until then that I realized that there was another way to do deals called wholesaling. And most people don't know what wholesaling is. They think we're talking about Costco or maybe even doing some Amazon wholesaling. And the reality is wholesaling real estate is one of the best ways to get started right now. And the reason for that is you can make the profits of flipping a house without having to actually buy the house, renovate the house, and sell the house. Instead, all you have to do is find a really good deal and sell that deal to a buyer without ever buying it. If you're confused, don't worry. I was really confused when I first heard about it too. We're gonna get into that here in a sec. So before we go over how to actually wholesale, let's first define what exactly it is. The simplest way to explain it is this. A wholesaler is essentially a middleman. In fact, I wouldn't even really call him a real estate investor, because to be a real estate investor, you gotta actually invest and buy real estate. Wholesalers don't do any of that. They're really just marketers at the end of the day. So here's how it'd work. Let's say you are the wholesaler and your job is to go find a very good deal. You do this by marketing and finding sellers who are willing to sell at a below market value price. And for this hypothetical scenario, let's say you go and get this property under contract with the seller for $200,000. Now, when you look at the contract, it says that you are the buyer and you are buying it for $200,000 from the seller. But the contract also gives you the ability to do what's called an assignment. And so you can assign all of your rights from that contract to anybody that you want for what's called an assignment fee. And so if I have this contract for $200,000 with the seller, and I know that other buyers are willing to pay $220,000 for this same property, instead of me having to go round up the cash, pay closing costs, and buy it for $200,000, I can assign my rights to the contract to this new buyer. And for that assignment, I am going to charge them the $20,000 difference. So now what happens is this. The buyer's gonna pay $220,000 for the home. $200,000 would go to the seller, $20,000 would go to me, the wholesaler, and the buyer would get the home for a price that they wanted. And in this scenario, everyone wins. I've done it many times. I've been on all sides of it. I've been the seller, I've been the wholesaler, I've been the guy buying from the wholesaler. And the one thing you might be asking is, why would the buyer pay the wholesaler? Why not just go to the seller directly? Because finding the sellers is the hardest part. Finding and negotiating a good deal is difficult. And so the wholesaler is gonna do a lot of the hard work that the buyer doesn't have to. For instance, let's say that the buyer pays $220,000 for this house, and they still know they're gonna profit $40,000 after they flip it. You shouldn't really care that the wholesaler's making $20,000 when you're gonna make $40,000 and you didn't even have to get the deal. So that's why wholesalers are great, because they provide deal flow to end buyers. And if you are a wholesaler, you can make quick cash. You don't have to ever buy the home like the end buyer does. You don't have to renovate it. You don't have to list it on the market. You don't have to do any of this. You can get paid like this. And I'll tell you, I've got people in my coaching program who have made $20,000 assignment fees in their very first month. Now, does that happen every time? No, but it is definitely possible, and I don't know many other careers that give you the ability to make that much money that quickly. Real quick, before we get into the video, I've got some big news. If you haven't heard, I just announced for the first time ever, I'm gonna be hosting a workshop right here in Las Vegas at my office. I'm gonna be giving you the same blueprint that I use to do over 100 real estate fix and flip and wholesale deals per year. And this workshop is gonna be great whether you're trying to get your very first deal or you're looking to scale your business. You're gonna get to spend time and ask questions with both me and my team. So I wanna make sure everyone gets enough attention, so we're purposely keeping the event small and limited. So if you wanna sign up, make sure you click the link below before we sell out. I look forward to seeing you. Now, back to the video. But anyways, you guys can all tell that wholesaling is great. It's one of the only careers I've ever seen that allows you to make so much money so quickly. And it's one of those things that many people dismiss because they think it's too good to be true. And I can tell you, I was one of those people early on because I'm a skeptical person. But once I actually did my first one, I realized the power of what wholesaling can do. So don't make that mistake. Now, if you're gonna start wholesaling, there's really just two things you need to do. Number one, find a good deal. Number two, find a buyer for that deal. It's that simple. So first, let's go over how you find deals. There are really three ways to do it. Number one is the MLS. Number two is other wholesalers. Number three is direct to seller marketing. Now here's what I'll say. When it comes to the MLS and you're just getting started on wholesaling, I would not do it. Trying to wholesale MLS deals is not something that I think a beginner should really try and do. I have seen people do it, but it's just tougher when there's an agent involved. So I'm not gonna talk too much about MLS deals in this video. And especially right now in today's market, the MLS has record low inventory, so it's even harder to get MLS deals today than it was previously. So we're gonna ignore the MLS right now. Second option I mentioned is other wholesalers. So as I mentioned before, the wholesaler typically would assign it to an end buyer. The end buyer would be the one paying that full amount, and that's how everyone gets paid. But sometimes a wholesaler will assign it to another wholesaler who then assigns it to their end buyer. And what this is called is daisy chaining. Now, early on in my career, when I got started, I used to hate daisy chainers because I would get a deal sent to me from a wholesaler, and then I would see somebody else daisy chain it to me for a higher price, and they didn't even control the deal. The person who controls the deal is the one who originally got the deal. Now, even though I got really mad at daisy chainers early on, after I had bought a bunch of deals from people who had daisy chained them, I started to be okay with it. At the end of the day, people gotta make a living, and if I'm gonna still get what I want out of it, it's good. And in fact, my company has daisy chain deals for other wholesalers as well. And the reason for that is we have a bigger buyers list. So sometimes wholesalers can't move their deals, they send it to us, and we'll go wholesale it for them. And how we negotiate that varies. Sometimes we'll just split the wholesale fee. Sometimes a wholesaler will say, hey, I want $140,000 for this deal. Whatever you can sell it for above that is your profit. Either way, if I can make money on a deal, I'm down with it. Even if I have to daisy chain, or the more proper way to say it is co-wholesale a deal with somebody else. So yeah, other wholesalers can be a great resource for you, and you don't even have to buy it from them. You can go wholesale it to somebody else if you've got a buyer willing to pay more than you. Now, with all that being said, be transparent with the wholesaler. If you're not gonna be the one buying it, let them know that, hey, I'm not buying it. I actually plan to assign it again to somebody else, but I can guarantee you that these guys are gonna buy. Transparency is always key in any deal. So that would be how you could get deals from other wholesalers. But the biggest way that we get deals to wholesale is through direct to seller marketing. Now, these are different marketing channels we use to get in touch with sellers. Some examples of this would be cold calling, texting, PPC, TV commercials, direct mail, driving for dollars, the list goes on and on. You can find deals in so many different ways. And there are two big things I tell my students when it comes to direct to seller marketing. Number one, marketing is a whole business in itself. If you've got a fix and flip operation where you're doing renovations and you're doing all this other stuff with flipping the home, that is totally separate from the marketing side, which I'm talking about now. You've got to have a good sales team. You got to have good follow-up process. You got to be able to talk to sellers because you can't get a deal if you don't talk to them. So a lot more sales is involved on the marketing side. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I'm not a very good salesperson, Ryan. How am I supposed to do this? Well, I think you could become a good one with practice and training, but on top of that, you could also partner with somebody who is. So don't let the fear of not being able to talk to a seller or inexperience stop you. You can get started today. But the second thing I'll say about direct to seller marketing is you need to understand your budget. If you're just getting started and you can't afford to spend money on marketing, you're gonna have to do different things than my company would. My company usually spends anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a month to get some really good deals. But a lot of my students get deals without spending any money. Some of them are spending $1,000 to $5,000 and having great success. If you could spend $5,000 a month and make $30,000 a month from the $5,000, would you do it? I can tell you I would. Anytime I could spend $5,000 and get 6x return, it's a big win in my book. So you gotta understand your budget when you're gonna do direct to seller marketing. And my guess is, if you're watching this video, your budget would be really small. So you're gonna do marketing tactics that fit that budget. Some very cheap forms of marketing are cold calling and texting. You could actually cold call yourself. So instead of spending all this money to hire cold callers, you are gonna be the one cold calling and using your time instead. Texting is another one. Texting is really cheap to do, so I highly recommend it. But if you're gonna cold call or text, you need to have the right software in place. You don't want to just do it straight from your phone. It's inefficient and you could possibly get into legal trouble if you do it wrong. The software that I always recommend is Batch Leads. With Batch Leads, you can pull motivated seller list, and then text them directly from the software. And then you could take those same phone numbers and get their other product called Batch Dialer. And with Batch Dialer, you can cold call all of those phone numbers all at once without having to manually dial everything, and you're gonna get a hold of way more sellers. And they actually have a third product called Batch Driven that is great if you're on a budget. With Batch Driven, you can do driving for dollars. Driving for dollars is essentially going through neighborhoods and picking out the houses that look like they need repairs, they're not in good shape, and Batch Driven will write down all those houses for you in the mobile app, and then you can get those same phone numbers and cold call them and text them with the other softwares. All of the Batch products are really good, and they're very cost affordable for those just starting out. And for that reason, it's why it's the only real estate software I currently promote, because it's cost efficient and everything is all in one. And make sure you use the links that I'm putting down below because they give you special promos. With batchleads.io/homerun, you'll get half off your first month. With batchdriven.com/homerun, you're gonna get a 7-day free trial. And with batchdialer.com/homerun, you're also gonna get a 7-day free trial. As I said, if you're on a budget, those are as good as it gets for reaching sellers directly. Now, once you figure out how to get deals, whether it's from other wholesalers, whether it's direct-to-seller marketing, you got to figure out how to get buyers. Now, finding cash buyers is actually pretty easy. In today's market, selling deals isn't very hard because the market is so hot. But some of the best ways that I find buyers are by going on Facebook groups. So I'll search wholesale real estate investing, and I'll join all of those groups, both national and local. And I'll search for my city where I'm doing deals and figure out who are the people posting in those groups. And there's probably other posts where people were putting out their deals and people were commenting if they were buyers or not. But you can also just post in those groups and say, hey, I'm a new wholesaler in this city. If you want to be on my buyers list, comment below with your email and your phone number. You will literally have a buyers list like that. Now, that's a super easy method, and honestly, you will sell a good deal just by doing that. But two other ways you could do it are by, number one, going to meetups. If you go to meetup.com, you can find all the different meetups in your area for real estate investing, and some of those people will be doing deals. Second way is through Batch Leads that we were talking about before. They have a little search filter for cash buyers. You can pull the search of everyone who's buying multiple deals every year. And if they're buying multiple deals, that means that they're a cash buyer and an investor who will probably want to buy more deals from you. But as I said, finding the cash buyer is actually the easiest part of this process. And really, that's all it takes to become a wholesaler. Find good deals, find buyers, merge them together. You don't have to buy the home or anything, get paid right away. It's a pretty sweet business, and you guys should definitely consider it. And as I said before, at Future Flipper, we train people how to get started in real estate investing and wholesaling. So if you're truly serious about getting into this business, definitely go to futureflipper.com, apply. Someone from my team will get in touch with you and take care of you. But anyways, if you got value out of this video, do me a big favor, go hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, go follow me on all the socials. Till next time, peace.